Hello, my name is Dr. Richard Tayrien. I am one of the investigators working in the research department at SARRC. I want to thank you for your interest in our research and invite you to join us in the effort to improve the lives and opportunities of those looking for new solutions to deal with the challenges of autism. You can do this by participation in one of the several studies currently in progress or contributing financially to SARRC research. The most effective research tool we have for evaluating interventions in autism is the clinical trial. So I wanted to spend a few moments to explain what a clinical trial is, how it works, and how you would engage in that type of research. So what is a clinical trial? It's a research model that evaluates the safety and effectiveness of new medications or diagnostic procedures. People volunteer to take part in clinical trials to compare a new therapy or intervention with currently existing therapies or no therapy at all. Clinical trial organizes volunteers that meet the criteria for taking a particular drug or intervention into two equal groups. Those receiving the drug are called the treatment group, and those that do not receive the intervention are called a control group. So clinical trials occur in phases, progressively. So there are preclinical studies, usually animal studies, to test the basic safety of a medication or drug. And then phase 1, 2, and 3 studies, which are human studies. Each phase has to be completed and the results approved by the FDA before moving on to the next phase. SARRC does not participate in preclinical studies or phase 1 studies, but these are important to ensure that the studies we consider for phase 2 and 3 have been adequately evaluated for safety. So a phase 2 study is looking at the safety of an experimental drug on a particular disease or condition in approximately 100 to 300 volunteers. Safety is always the primary concern, and every volunteer is monitored very closely. We're also trying to determine the best dosing level for that particular intervention and the most effective dose with the least side effects. This phase can last anywhere from several months to 2 years. An individual participant is only engaged for about 3 months, though. A phase 3 study involves several hundred to several thousand patients and provides a massive amount of data on the drug safety and efficacy. Information from phase 3 provides all the information needed for labeling and prescribing of the drug if it is ultimately approved. Only about 20 to 30% of all of the drugs make it through all 3 phases of a clinical trial to be approved by the FDA for marketing in the U.S. for any particular condition. So what happens if you decide to volunteer for a clinical trial? Well, first of all, there's the process of informed consent. So the study and any risk are explained in detail to a potential participant and or their caregiver. Documents consenting to participation in the study are signed with the understanding that one can leave the study at any point in time. The next phase is screening. A screening process is performed to ensure 2 things. Number 1, the participant meets the criteria for participation in the study based on the protocol. And then there are no health problems that might make participation in the study unsafe for an individual. Following this screening visit, then a baseline visit is performed and testing of a participant's current status relative to certain targeted measures and then also baseline measures of laboratory chemistry, cardiology, physical findings are all documented to compare with future measures to monitor for changes that may have safety implications. The next step is randomization, and following passing screening and baseline information, then the participant is assigned to a therapeutic group where they would actually be receiving the experimental drug, or a control group. This is blinded to the participant as well as the research team, so none of us know who's actually in which group. The study then actually progresses and takes place over the next several weeks, usually about 3 months. And the intervention is applied. Serial measures are performed to assess effectiveness and monitor for any adverse effects or safety issues. Termination is the process of coming off the study. So that can occur at the end of completion of the study, or can sometimes occur at any other time if a participant determines they would like to discontinue the study. Following the decision to terminate from the study, we do follow for another 1 to 2 weeks to monitor for any additional adverse effects or safety problems. Some studies offer an extension, and that allows a participant to remain in the study with the knowledge that they are now receiving the actual intervention or the drug. They are followed less frequently, but over a longer period of time, sometimes up to a year, again monitoring for safety and effectiveness throughout the whole process. So why would you want to consider participation in a clinical trial? Well, I will tell you what we hear from those in our community that have volunteered in the past. Some say, I want to contribute to discovering new interventions that may help others in the future with autism. Some state it makes them feel as if they are playing a more active role in their health. And then others state that the compensation they receive for participation in a study is helpful right now. But a rewarding unintended consequence occasionally comes up through our thorough screening process when we reveal another undiagnosed clinical problem or disease that requires medical attention, unrelated to autism many times. That usually disqualifies one from participation in a study in the short term, but we always prioritize working with your physician or an appropriate specialist to get this new problem addressed. And many times that participant is able to come back following addressing that problem and still participate in a study. I am so impressed with our volunteer participants and their families. Most just want to do their part to help others with autism and view compensation as a way we say thank you. If you have any questions about clinical research at SARRC, please call us. I would be happy to answer any of your questions, as would anybody else on our amazing research team.